Not the day after tomorrow, but a week from the day after tomorrow.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the 2026 and our first meeting of the Bicycle and Pedestrian Subcommittee. Good seeing everybody again. We have had a couple months off, and you all were working really hard all year, so it was nice just to take a little breath and guess where we are, ready for a new year. So thanks, everybody. We had some emails going on behind the scenes lead up to this meeting, so thanks for your comments. And we'll cover some of the specific items in our open session, since I think they were germane to everybody. So, all right, Art and Mark, we had a couple comments. So, all right, let's go ahead and get started. We have a couple folks who can't be here, who let us know in advance. Diane, I think, might be joining us via the link. She's with her husband. And Dan is, I think, in a warm spot.
Good for Dan.
So, I'll leave it at that. Palm trees, you get the message. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. Do we have a motion to call the meeting to order?
So moved.
Okay, Carl, seconded by Bob.
All in
Vote
favor?
for unanimous. Okay, thank you. Do we have a, our agenda for today is as such. The one thing I've added since we added this was the approval of the notes from 1023, which is really an open dialogue with the community, but we'll go ahead and put those in our record formally as well. So, so do we have a motion to approve the agenda, a modified agenda that's up here as submitted?
So moved.
So moved.
Okay.
Second.
Second, great, thank you. Next on the, are the approval of the meeting notes. Raylene, thank you for sending those out. They were, obviously, I think we had about 4 or 5 pages, so they were, as always, extremely well done. We had a couple modifications. I know Mark picked a couple things. Anything else anyone wants to add to the agenda from, or the notes from 1023? No? Mark asked a good question. What we'll do, Bill and Ann submitted some really good, basically 4 pages of comments to us, and we'll actually amend. That's all been handed to the town council members, so they would have the benefit of that, and we'll actually attach those to the meeting notes, Raylene, so that way it's really part of the record. And Bill, thank you again for your effort around there. So do we have a motion to accept the notes as presented? First, second?
All in favor?
Okay, great. Next on the agenda is our safety contact. I'm actually going to hold that, and we'll move that into Chief Foley's presentation with the police department. I think he's already prepared to do that. But let me, as part of this, does anyone have a safety contact they want to share, just a personal experience or anything that's story, situation? That's always a good thing to. We okay? We'll just wait for Chief Foley's. Okay, great. So let's move into the any reports from town leadership. I don't think we have any, either from Terry or Cliff, and a couple of things associated with the activities associated with our efforts, particularly infrastructure. We are going to cover those both in Chief Foley's comments and ours. So let me then turn it over to the Chief Foley.
Sure. Good morning, everyone. You have the clicker.
Oh, yes. There we go.
There we go. So some bad news here. I will say some good news is my report's not that long, but the bad news is we're going to start off with the bad news. Black Friday, Friday, November 28th at 7 p.m., we unfortunately had a pedestrian struck that was walking northbound through the crosswalk right in front of DeFibos, legally in the crosswalk, walking into the restaurant. There was a vehicle legally traveling westbound on State Route 26 in an SUV. I believe it was a newer model Bronco. Did not slow down, did not brake for 2 active pedestrians that were in the crosswalk. Unfortunately, it was an older gentleman that got struck. He literally dove out of the way while he was diving. The front right bumper of the vehicle clipped his legs and sent him in a maybe 360. Believe he had a broken leg that, when this is all said and done, could have been significantly worse. Fortunately, there was a witness traveling eastbound on Garfield Parkway at the same time, right in front of Grotto's, that witnessed it, saw the collision, pulled a U-turn, pulled a three-point turn. Once the gentleman that struck the pedestrian, he continued to accelerate, nothing erratic, just maybe 45 miles per hour. You can see it on camera view that we discovered. The witness followed the person into Ocean View and was high beaming them the whole time, pulled up next to him at a red light and said, "You just struck a pedestrian, you need to get back into Bethany and go back on scene." Bethany Beach Police Department was on scene immediately. They were approached by the gentleman that struck him. The officers indicated a significant level of impairment. They did field sobriety test. The driver was subsequently arrested for DUI on top of vehicular assault first degree and numerous other traffic offenses.
Can I make a comment there?
Yeah, sure.
I was traveling eastbound about a week ago, and one of the DeFebo's employees was walking across the crosswalk. They wear all black, with shirt and trousers, and very hard to see. It's not well lit there. And because of that, I mean, I was not doing more than 30, and really had to hit the brakes because I was a little concerned about being rear-ended. However, the other guy stopped also, but I think that it's a real issue there.
Hey, can I make a comment to kind of echo that one? Mickey, during our bus tours last season, the bus drivers all mentioned that in the evening hours, same thing, hard to see the restaurant workers in their black T-shirts and black pants.
Next on the report, this has the sidewalk. This is from our camera view here at 1 and 26. It has been finished. The sidewalk begins at the northwest corner of Garfield Parkway and Coastal Highway, and it runs all the way through Gibson. There is plans, Mickey, I think you're going to touch upon this in your report. There's going to be the piano keys, as the town refers to them, with an active crosswalk on the northern portion of this intersection, which is going to be fantastic. But that sidewalk is completed. It was actually under construction. We had another lawful protest assembly at the town park right when this was beginning. But it was all said and done. I think it took a couple weeks. They did a great job. It will connect into an active crosswalk that's going to lead to the northern side of Garfield Parkway, so people don't have to cross on the southern side of 1 and 26. Last but certainly not least, November 12th, 2025, I was invited to the ABC Bike Ministry at Mariners Bethel. Mike's here in the crowd. Thank you for the invitation for that. We all are aware they do a fantastic job with the foreign students, lend them bikes, train them with bikes, repair their bikes. They go above and beyond. I'm proud to work with them for the Foreign Safety Student Seminar that we do on an annual basis. They have been given numerous parking passes by the town of Bethany to assist in their endeavors. Majority of the students, they file reports online through the website where they need bike repair or maintenance, and really the only time that it can be done is either at their house or at their place of employment. Majority of their places of employment are here in Bethany, so when the ABC Bike Ministry goes and fixes the bikes, it's very tough for them to do along Garfield Parkway where they're not paying meters and they're not blocking traffic. Nick Imperial from the parking department has generally donated them a handful of parking passes for them to complete their job safely and legally, so they're not being ticketed or disrupting traffic flow, wherever it may be. So we are very grateful for that. Hope to work with them again this year for the J1 Safety Student Seminar that we do on an annual basis, and that's all still being planned. And short and sweet, that's the end of my report.
Great. Thank you, Chief. I I do want to, one, again, thank Mike and his team for the efforts they do. That's really the number of people they touch and haven't seen not only the bike, providing the bikes, but the training that goes with that, right? And the follow-up you do to try to recognize excellent behavior, whether it's helmets, lights, or whatever, being in the right lane throughout the year is really outstanding. So just that. I do want to come back to the incident we had with the pedestrian that was hit, and clearly alcohol was involved. But I want to look at this from another perspective, right? Is that as a pedestrian, right, you don't want to be in a situation where you're trusting a driver is going to stop or see you, right? I'm not talking about the legality, I'm not talking about any of that, I'm just talking about, and that's one of the key things that we need to be, I think, as we're engaging with people, Bob, you know, we were talking about the ride-alongs on the trolleys and all the conversations we have with people, is trying to raise that awareness around, you've got to be on your game, right? You've got to be thinking, you've got to be assuming that the driver's not going to stop. And put yourself in a situation. I'm not saying it was his fault. I'm just saying it doesn't matter, right? He broken leg could have been a lot worse. It could have been a, you know, worst case scenario could have been a fatality, right? And but I think the challenge we all have from that is what can we do? What can our community do? Engaging people to raise that awareness to say, look, I don't want to be in a situation where I got to depend on that driver to stop, right? And I know that's difficult in traffic situations, and you're trying to get across the street, the whole thing. But there's also that sense of accountability that the individual has, right? Because you don't want to be hit by a vehicle. As someone said, one of our community members, metal's going to win pretty much every time, right? And so I think there's a learning from that too that we can engage with, and we'll talk about it a little bit later. So, Chief,
Right,
or Art?
Sure. Well, I was just thinking, again, not just with 26, but also on Route 1. I mean, the flashing beacons are wonderful, but I can't tell you how many times cars go right through the flashing beacons, multiple cars.
Right.
So again, it's on you to make the effort to make sure that you're safe. I mean, because if people just, maybe they don't see the flashing beacons, I don't know, there could be any number of reasons. I mean, sometimes when it's very bright, it is hard to see them as a driver, but you just can't assume. You have to make sure that the car is going to stop before you get out into Route 1 or any of these roads. So you're right, it is on the, in the end, you know, you can be doing exactly the right thing, but you can still wind up in an accident just because of you know, for any number of reasons.
Right.
So you have to be on the defensive at all times and very alert. So
right.
I grant you, again, it's very important that we communicate the need to constantly be vigilant wherever you are, whether you're biking, you're walking, you're running, you're just out and about.
Right.
We have to constantly be aware.
Right. And that, you know, the unfortunate part of that is somebody broke their leg. But we can learn from that, and that can be something we actively talk about with every person we have an engagement with, right? To talk about, here's what could happen, right? And they were crossing an illegal spot. They were assuming the car was going to slow down and that, you know, the person was impaired or whatever. But you don't want to put yourself in that situation. And that's the conversations we can have to try to get people's thinking about it from their own personal behavior, their own personal accountability, their family, their friends, and the like. So, Bob?
Hey, just to piggyback on that, I think we talked last year in the October, September timeframe that we were going to, under Wave 3.0, fold into the conversation. You know, what are we being safe from, the pedestrians and the bicycle? It's really the cars. And the distracted drivers during the season, and the aggressive drivers of the people that live here year-round. Multiple times, you know me, I'm walking with my dog everywhere around here, but it's crossing and taking that time to stop, look, and going into the intersection, and you still have people slamming on your brakes as you're making that cross. Now, I know we're doing things to make that area at the FIBOs more safe, but we really need to fold into the discussion more seriously the distracted driver and the aggressive driver in this town.
Yep. So, Bob, I think you're touching on an important piece, right? And I think Chief Foley has actually highlighted a couple of the citations they've done in that regard, right? Phones, distractions.
These are the targeted campaigns that
Yes.
OHS pays us, yes.
Right.
Yeah.
But that can also be part of, as we're engaging with people, right? They're probably going to drive at some point, right? We might see them as they're walking, but we can, it's very easy to extend that conversation to think about them as a driver, because now they're on the other side of the, sort of the dynamic of that, right? So I think we'll talk a little bit more about Wave 3.0 in a little bit, but that's an important part, I think, of incorporating that in. So, Bob, thank you. Thanks for raising that up.
Can you give me 1 second?
Sure.
Chief, can you, for the people who don't know, can you describe the targeted campaigns, what that is?
Sure. So Office of Highway Safety pays state police as well as municipalities overtime designated patrols for targeted campaigns. So we have the Super Bowl coming up. We're more than likely going to be, I think we have 2 of them, a DUI campaign where officers, in addition to patrol, are out there getting paid overtime to strategically locate and make arrests for DUI offenses. In the summertime, we focus on cell phones, speeding, distracted driving, pedestrian safety. This time of year, it's just whatever really holiday is approaching us, but Office of Highway Safety, they do a study and they see whatever infractions that they have involving fatality accidents, and they pay officers overtime to go out and do preventative measures. We have officers distracted driving. I can attest that it's year-round. Cell phone campaign, seatbelt campaign is year-round. It's a year-round problem, where in the summertime, we strictly target speeding enforcement because there's more people and more cars on the road, and it's more dangerous. In reference to the crosswalk incident, I feel like a lot of people become complacent. Once they step into a crosswalk, it's a safe zone. They feel very complacent. I, being from a city, you don't step into a crosswalk when you don't have the right of way because you're going to get smoked by a car, and that's just city life. But I feel like people, when they come here on vacation, they feel a little complacent. They step into a sidewalk, and they feel entitled when they shouldn't be, because nowadays, with everything that's in a car, I'm not even talking about alcohol and contributing factors and drug use, but there's so many distractions in a vehicle that take your eyes off the road for a split second. I feel like that is a very common thing that we have here with the flashing beacons. Again, they do work, but the collisions that we investigate are rear ends. It's people being distracted and rear-ending the cars that are doing the right things and stopping for pedestrians. So hope this isn't a trend, but this was a very scary thing. I mentioned maybe 2 years ago, there was an incident where 7 J1 students were crossing right here in Central, and I think that was the closest that we have ever seen to a catastrophic incident. And then here we are with this incident, DeFebo's, on Friday in November. So hope it doesn't continue, but the police department, the officers, the patrol officers, even on their days off, are doing everything possible to make people aware and ticket those who are at fault.
Right. And, you know, the other thing, Chief, it really brings back to mind when we remember we had our guest, Sergeant, I'm drawing a blank on his name, from Jupiter.
Yes.
And he really highlighted exactly the same thing you're talking about. It's just sort of the combination of compliance from a police department perspective, holding people accountable, but it's also the education engagement piece that we're all trying to focus on.
Sure.
So it's trying to marry those up as best we can to, at the end of the day, to impact people's headset, their mindset around and their awareness. So, good.
Well,
Yeah.
one more thing, the word accountability, it's a big word with police officers, because in the criminal justice system, the police officers are the front runners. We're the ones that enforce the laws. And then the remaining portion of the criminal justice system needs to hold those accountable. If you remember this press release we did in November, we put it on our Facebook, our Instagram, the comments were outrageous, and they were so mad because the person was let go on an unsecured bond, which means they were literally turned over to somebody sober 5 or 6 hours after the incident. So accountability is huge, because if people aren't held accountable for their actions and they are let loose by a judge, there's no punishment. So police officers can go out and write a $103 ticket for, cell phone, I think that's actually $200, but speeding ticket is $94. Those don't really hold people accountable. It's the judicial system that should help that too. So it's beyond the police officers. We see it on a day-to-day basis, and when we post news releases like we did on this incident, when you see the comments, it's just, it opens up your eyes to the accountability people feel that they can do whatever they want, because sometimes the judicial system fails. And as a police officer, I see it routinely, not just during traffic offenses like this.
Yeah. Good. Well, this is a good conversation, because I think it'll lead right into, as we start thinking about our activities for the upcoming year, how we can really try to focus and build that in a way that engages the community even more so. So, great. Thank you, everybody. Julie, from an activities perspective, and
Yeah,
the never ceases. There's no off-season anymore.
there's
It
no
just keeps
off-season,
rolling,
that's
so.
for sure. But that's good job security for me, so I'm good with that. Hi, everybody. Just want to report on some survey findings that we received after we do our big season, the summer season. We do go into October. We do an audience participation survey, and just to get a feel for not only the events, but other topics that we've been discussing. And one of those was the WAVE initiative, and just was curious how people get to the bandstand. And Bob, what you pointed out, this goes hand in hand with that, 75% are by car. Wow. Yeah, I thought there would be more pedestrians, but walkers were only 17%, and this was out of 235 people that were polled. So yeah, that's just a touching the amount of people that come to the bandstand, but it gives us an idea. About 4% rode their bike, and again, it's nighttime, so that makes sense. And then shuttle and ride share. So a big bulk of that is the cars. So yes, focusing on that, the marketing would be a good thing. And to go a step further with that, did they follow the town's WAVE initiatives when crossing traffic? 61% said yes. So they are aware. That's 144 people that are aware of the WAVE initiative. So we are getting out there. We're making an impact. So one person at a time.
Super. Thank you for.
Yeah, so I was excited by that. And just another thing, too, to point out, May is National Bike Month. And Art, I saw the list of upcoming things, which is pretty hefty. But if we wanted to highlight anything during that month, that's a good thing to do, because it's already a national initiative. So it's the entire month of May, but there's Bike to Work Week, Bike to Work Day, National Rider Bike Day, and there's all kinds of different activities that we could do. And that's also our Poseidon Month, so we could maybe incorporate something to go along with that. So, and let's see, one other thing. Oh, speaking of the activities, if we could do an inventory count of WAVE shirts, if we're going to be continuing to hand those out, we need to look at that and see if we need to reorder, give them some time to get that together. And that's all I have.
Do you need help, somebody to come in and help inventory them?
Yeah, at this point, I think,
Are they all here in the building?
no,
or
I
there's
think
some-
they've been moved to Blackwater, yeah. So
Okay.
you guys have been great in taking over that section of, handling the shirts. So I
If
can
you want me to
coordinate
come
that.
out and do an inventory, just tell me where they are, and I'll be happy to do it.
Okay,
We would need to coordinate with Brett and see if he wants us to do it there or if he wants to bring the shirts here.
okay, that'd probably be Brian. Brian could,
Okay.
yeah. All right, I'll find
Yeah,
out.
just let me know, and I'd be happy to
Okay,
come out and
thank
count.
you.
Hey, and Julie, I did work with Brian last year because we were running out. I know the smalls are gone.
Okay.
And a lot of mediums, we were running low,
Yeah.
and the larges, so.
Okay.
Okay, all right, good to
And I'll
know.
be willing to go with Brian and Art and do an inventory.
Okay.
But we were running low at the end of last season.
Okay.
Great, okay,
That's
thank
good
you.
to know. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Julie, very much. And I really appreciate you trying to sort of pull out and get some threads of actual data from people's responses. That's helpful. I mean, it's a subset, it's a you know, it's a sample, but it helps us to get a sense of how people get there and what are they reacting to, what are they seeing, right? So that's great. Thank you for doing that. So let's move into the next segment, which is the reviewing the ideas from the community members. This is what we did back in October. That was just the banner that we put together for it. Before we get into that, I just wanted to highlight some of the things there, and Chief talked about a couple of these, but these are the infrastructure projects that are either approved or planning implementation stage at the council level. So these are things that are going on. We don't have to necessarily weigh in anymore, necessarily. It's more just to give you an update, right? It's the four-way intersection here out front, and the continuous sidewalk. So that's all, I think, moving toward getting completed before the summer season. Improved intersection on the south side of Garfield, that's by the diner and bike store, right? I think the only thing left of that, they still have to get the striping down on that.
Yeah, the
I know
bike
that's
store is gone.
Yes.
So the diner is expanding, so you're gonna.
Oh, is that what's happening there?
You're gonna get a lot more people.
Oh, my goodness. Okay.
Yeah, the bike store moved further out 26.
Right, no, I knew they moved, I just didn't know who was taking over the space.
Yeah.
Good for them.
Yeah, but we were actually looking at doing something to create a little bit more space on where Half Moon intersects 26, a little farther down, right in front of St. Anne's. But I think it got the scope grew a little bit when
Right,
DelDOT got involved, and
That's been tabled.
we've had to table that from a cost perspective. But we haven't lost it, we've just
Yes.
had to table it. We were working on the 2 new crosswalks in Garfield. This will include we've talked about this before, the safe zone in the middle. A raised concrete area so people can at least get to the middle of the road without feeling like they're standing in the third lane, if you will, or the middle lane. All right, so that's ongoing. The improved pedestrian walkway at the intersection of Kent and Garfield right across the street here. We've been partnering with DelDOT and our engineering team on that. And then the last piece that's not quite as defined yet, but looking at the review of South Pennsylvania and North Atlantic for a number of things, but one primarily which is around enhanced safety improvement. So that's things that are going on at sort of the town level that the council's already endorsed to move forward with.
Could I make a comment, just
Sure.
in general? I think the holiday newsletter that the town sent out was absolutely outstanding. I'm not sure who put that together, but they deserve a lot of credit. Well done.
Kathy, right there.
But in particular, pardon? It was fun to do. Well, you did a great job. But in particular, I was very impressed with the section that had the pictures and the descriptions of some of the work that's being done to improve safety. I thought that was particularly well put together, so thank you very much. I think that communicated a lot of great information out to our community, and that's much appreciated.
Great pickup, Art. Thank you. Mark, please.
Yeah, and is there a timeline on the crosswalks, on 26?
So the goal is to have them done before the summer. And I believe that we're looking for bidders right now. I don't know about Route 1, but I think up on 26, we're looking for bidders.
And also the one at Kenton and Garfield as well? Or?
That's the goal.
Yeah, okay.
That's the goal.
Great.
So those are the larger projects we have going on. As a reminder, what we've done over the last couple of years is tried to group the ideas that we've gotten from the community and others into sort of 3 buckets, right? Infrastructure, administrative kind of options, and then engagement behavioral changes. And the last one really falls into the wave. That's that personal interaction piece. So those are just the buckets we've migrated to sort of combine these things. Go ahead.
Just a comment on the buckets. Is there a way that we could also separate what we as a town can do, like the sidewalks, bicycles allowed, not allowed, and what DelDOT, we need help from DelDOT to do?
Well, I think the answer is yes, to both. So all the projects we're talking about, we're doing in concert with DelDOT.
Right.
The issue really becomes who's paying for it. Because if we wait for DelDOT and to get queued into their budget process, some of these things might not get done. So we're partnering with them on the design, because they're the road experts, right?
Yeah.
Even like the location of these crosswalks we're talking about is in partnership with them, with coming back and saying, these are the two best spots. And we're using their contractors so that we can stay connected. But they have the approval, and then we fund it, basically. So we're part and parcel with them on that, on the one
But-
question. What was the other one? I'm sorry.
My example is the sidewalks. You know, we have the
Okay.
no bicycles. A lot of the signs are faded.
Right.
But we as a community,
Right.
do we allow the bicycles on? So those are things that we separate. Another example is like when you walk down 26 and all the vegetation is overgrown into the sidewalk. Is that DelDOT, or is that something that we can do as a community?
In some cases, it might be the homeowners. If you're talking about onto the sidewalks,
It's
That-
like
those are-
right on
right.
line with the sidewalks, where you lose 3/4 of the sidewalk because of the vegetation there.
so the responsibility is the homeowners. I mean, the town might be able to send a letter that says you
But
need to
maybe-
trim your trees.
And that's fine.
Yeah.
And then maybe that's, we do
Yeah.
as a community,
Right.
as a committee, hey, you need to.
Yes.
So Bob, can I ask you to do something? Because having worked with you and how diligent you are on,
We've gotten into trouble.
no, that's okay. Trouble's not a bad thing. Trouble's a good thing. What's it, good trouble or
Good
whatever?
trouble.
But could you do a little bit of an inventory, if you will, just as you walk, and tell us where? Because we can certainly connect with the town and sort of put a little, if there are things that the homeowner needs to do, we can
Or the
gently
HOA.
I
nudge,
can
or
do
the
that at the
HOA.
end of the meeting. I've been.
I know.
walking down for 3 years.
I was thinking you already had a list, Bob, to be honest with you, but, no, that's important. Those are the kind of things that if it's impairing visibility, right? Particularly as you're approaching an intersection, right? Because there's a number of side streets that build into that. If there's something that's blocking, and I don't, be honest with you, I don't get on 26 that often, so, thank you.
Okay, I will.
So these are the things that came out of the structural ideas. What we highlighted were things that were additive from what we had before. So what's in green there are, I mean, there were some things that were repeat from where we had before. What we highlighted in green were the new ones. So people talk about wider bike lanes on 26, which sort of connects, I think, a little bit with what you're talking about, Bob. And then also for all having 10-foot wide pedestrian paths on all roads going to the beach. Right, was a comment one of the citizens suggested, so we wanted to highlight that, okay? And so the first place, I just want to go through and highlight how we put our list together, okay? And then we can come back and decide which of the ones we want to try to focus on. So that's the structural ideas, bricks and mortar. If you move into the administrative options, I think this touches on one of the ones you just talked about, Bob. Again, the green are the new ones that came out. New business parking locations came out. More four-way stop signs on Pennsylvania Avenues was a suggestion. Additional speed bumps on some east-west towns, downtown. Crosswalks delineated on all streets, and establish some one-way streets in some areas. So those were the sort of administrative things that came out, in addition to what we had before, right? Allow bikes on sidewalks on Route 26. Bob, you raised that. That was an idea that came up before, right? And our decision with the town is which of those, if we want to pursue, right? But the key is we don't want to lose them. They're all great ideas, and they need to fit into the bigger picture, and with time, resources, and the whole thing. So I just wanted to try to cover with everyone where we are. Okay. And then last one, what sort of falls under engagement behavioral changes. We didn't really have anything additive, at least I picked up from the comments around this. But all this falls into really WAVE, right? How do we engage with people? How do we touch people? How do we help them become more aware of a situation that will allow them to maybe to impact their behaviors going down the road? And share that with friends and family, right? Beyond, sort of spreading the wealth kind of thing. So that's what we've come up with so far. Are there any, I know you all made notes, we have the meeting notes. Did we miss anything from capturing that from just the
I don't think so.
October meeting? Because again, this is our evergreen list. These don't go away. We keep adding to them. We just want to use these as things to work toward or work off of. Are we okay with that?
Yes.
Okay. So again, building off of Julie's comments, WAVE and what it's about, we've used that as sort of our umbrella. Then I've used this as sort of our way of trying to identify what are the specific topics within that and how do we want to get about them. So that might be videos, that might be conversation points, that might be a mini workshop, could be anything, right? And these are, and under the red are sort of the ideas that pertain to a specific group. So it's J1 walkers, or J1 workers, walkers, vacationers, drivers, other topics, experienced cyclists. Again, we're just trying to capture our ideas and then use this as a starting point to try to make an impact, right? Julie's given us a little bit high-level impact.
Right.
It's how do we use that going forward? Does that make sense, everybody? I mean, again, this is the same thing. We're just trying to stay with our sort of approach here. So that leads us to where we want to focus for 2026, right? These are all great ideas, right? And so what do we want to focus on for 2026? What I wanted to capture, and Art, thank you very much. You have really helped us with capturing a spreadsheet. I've only copied part of it with the part that has the actual tentative dates and ideas. The spreadsheet goes a lot further in terms of who's going to do what, when, and how. But this just sort of starts us with some of the things that, from what we worked on last year, that we thought, Teresa and I, would be a good place to start as we look at the coming year. All right? So it's the workshop we're doing, and we'll talk more about that with our partners in the communities in March. We've had a presence at the Ocean to Bay Bike Tour, the Poseidon Festival, the effort that Mike and his team do with ABC, this J1 seminar. Some of these we don't have the dates. We might have the dates, but the important part is that we'll get the dates at some point. These are just the welcoming event with St. Martha's Episcopal Church is a great way to connect with a lot of people. The 4th of July parade, particularly in terms of helping with the bike decorations and all that, but highlighting the safety piece, the checkpoints that Chief and his team helped lead, and then sort of culminating in our workshop with the community back in October. So these are just the things to start with. This is not an all-inclusive list, but first, are these, is everyone okay for us to do these again in 2026?
I think so.
I mean, these are the ones that have, okay? These are sort of events, if you will. Now, so what I'd like to try to focus on now and just brainstorm, what are the things we want to add to that, right? Bob, you talked about that I think we had success with, or the trolley ride-alongs?
Yeah, the ride-alongs were very successful, but that was hit or miss.
Right.
On with Diane and I, we hit 2 full bus loads. But when you and I did it, we only had about 10 people.
Right.
So, again, a suggestion for that is, on the buses, if we can put a wave sign in so people see it and read it.
So let me, just for interest of time, Bob, rather than, I don't want to design that here. I just want to add to our list, and then we got to do more work on it, if you will, okay? But we definitely want to, I think, add the trolley ride-alongs.
Yeah, those seem to be popular.
Yeah. The other thing that came up, we talked about were engaging with people as they're actually using some of these intersections. Actually, we'd have a presence out there and actually encouraging them the safe way to cross, maybe handing out a T-shirt. Somebody even had a idea of having like a sign that said, "Thank you, drivers, for stopping," you know, some big sign we could hold up. I forget who, Diane or someone. And just as a way of recognizing, so you're trying to reinforce and thank people for that positive behavior. But it's a way of trying to literally engage with people as they're going about their getting to the beach and coming from the beach.
Yeah, I think a thought you and I had, or maybe it was me and Diane, when we had the concerts, just having like a 1 minute, 2 minute discussion on the wave and the wave. You got 150 people, captive audience. I'll be willing to do it.
Okay, so it's wave there at the concerts, but let me come back to the idea where we have the, at certain crossing spots, you know, whether it's Central, whether it's at, you know, anywhere where we actually designate an hour where we're there at a time where it's being used and really trying to observe, engage, talk with people. Sure.
Just to that point, we have given out the WAVE brochure at the concerts when we do the program, and we've also put it in the program so people do see it. Now, yes, by the end of the season, they're immune to it because they've seen it a million times. Yes, but that wouldn't hurt to mention it.
Especially if we do it around the big holidays,
Yeah.
Memorial Day weekend and 4th of July week and, you know, like late July. Pick some strategic weeks.
Yeah. And just another point, this might be an aside, but this is a big year for Bethany. It's our 125th anniversary, our birthday. And it's also piggybacking on America 250, Delaware 250. So, you know, to talk about how safe we are still as a community from day one, the efforts that we're doing for that, and then the way transportation has changed from day one. You know, that's a thought process for marketing and supporting what we're doing here, too.
Yep.
So.
Yep, absolutely.
The other thing, while we're thinking about communicating information out, is last year when we did the trolley ride-alongs, which I think were great, a number of people were very surprised to learn when we talked about it, about the bicycle checkpoints. They were just unaware of it. So perhaps, I mean, we talked about, at least when I've done them, we talked about perhaps having a little handout that we could, you know, identify the dates and the locations and everything, so that people that were there could, you know, attend these events. I mean, right now the checkpoints are wonderful. I mean, we helped, over 100 people, I think, at both events last time.
Yeah.
But, you know, I think the further we can publicize that, I think the better. Because again, I think the more people we can get having on safe bikes, especially with the lights,
Yep.
I think are a big plus for the community.
Yep.
So I think if we were to have some type of, a little more communication regarding the checkpoints, I think that might be very helpful. And again, if we're handing out materials at various events, it wouldn't hurt to just have a, you know, a quick handout with that information.
Or to put a sign on the bus. I think you and I
That'd be
talked
even- that's
about that,
fine,
just
yeah.
having a sign, hey, bicycle. And we have an HOA newsletter that I'm going to add a lot of the things that we're doing into our newsletter here at Bethany West.
Right.
So build off that, I know Art's done that in his community, and Bob and I have done that in ours. But there's that opportunity to reach out when communities are having their community meetings, right? To be part of that on the agenda, to highlight a couple things, to get, you know, promote discussion, and that's always been pretty successful, I think. It gets people thinking, and again, we're going at this from a number of different ways, right? It's not just one thing. It's trying to just get people thinking, right? They can read it. I think having a goal of having something safety related in each issue of the newsletter that Kathy's leading for us would be fantastic. And those, you know, community connections. What else? So we have community connections, trolley ride-alongs, crosswalk, presence. the concerts, the wave brochures, the connection with Bethany Beach 125 and US 250, and the newsletter. What else?
Can we add something with the restaurant owners? And I know you and I talked about that after speaking with the bus driver about not being able to see the J1 students.
So-
And I talked to a couple, just in passing, to some of the owners. Would they be acceptable of putting reflective clothing on the back of their shirts or on the front of their shirts?
Okay.
So maybe that's something that we can have with the owners of these businesses.
So let me capture that under business outreach, Bob.
Yeah.
Okay, again, we don't have to get into design it necessarily, but again, let's touch base with all, and I know Mike does that with his team, but that we're really reaching out and helping, because they know the situation, but to have it, whether it's coming from the police chief, the police team, or our team, we want to help you. We want to get your folks to and from safely. Right, and what can we do? What can we offer? What can you do, right? Reflective vests, something.
Whatever.
I know that's something that Mike and his team are doing, so. And let me stop for a second. I know you want to, since it's being broadcast, I know you don't like to go up, but can you just please, so people can hear you?
You don't look anxiety that
And you can come up here if you want. I'm fine either.
You know how we have that beautiful calendar that comes out? And I honestly use it, and I look through it when I get it, and why couldn't we put something in there on each, maybe a little, phrase on each month? Like something about bicycle safety, pedestrian safety, the wave, something like a little kind of, not a comic strip by any means, but
Something in there.
just
Okay.
a little blurb
Okay.
that people will read and go, oh yeah, I should pay more attention, because Officer Foley said that when people cross the street, the word you used, and I can't remember it, but entitlement. I see people cross the street and I wonder, why aren't you still looking when you walk across the street? Because they just walk across the street because the lines are there, I have the right of way.
Right.
Well, you're still responsible for yourself to make sure that that car did see you and they're not yelling at the kid in the back seat or whatever it is. How can you walk across the street and just focus straight ahead? It blows my mind. And then my other third thing was, in Bethesda, Maryland, they have an area street where they have these buckets. And in the buckets, they have flags, orange flags. And as people are crossing the street, and I can't remember where it was, but I saw it about 8 years ago, and I thought, what a great idea. People picked up those orange fluorescent little flags and would walk across the street with it. Do you remember that, Bill? And honestly, I would research it for you. I'll even pay for it for us as a town. It's a great idea up there where the people are coming out of work at nighttime and they all do wear black. And even in the daytime, I see people standing there waiting to cross. But if you had that, it would people would realize, hey, wow, there's, people sometimes use it or don't, but I still should pay attention at that area because there are people walking. So, anyway.
Okay, great. Thank you, Ann.
No, thank you, and I think that's great. I really like the idea of maybe having like a little blurb somewhere on calendars or other locations, because again, we talk about various things, and maybe we can create themes around this. So maybe we have something on the calendar, we have something in the newsletter, again, under very simple themes like be alert, stay unhurt, be seen, be safe. Wear a helmet, you only have one brain. Something, just something catchy, and then we can expand on it. But if we do it across a couple of different vehicles, then hopefully it'll drive the message through. So I think that's a great idea. Thank you.
In St. Augustine Beach, Florida, they have no lights or anything like we have here. The crosswalks are just painted, lines on the street. But what they do have is they have these buckets that are attached to poles with the flags in them, and the flags are sort of,
that's
as
what-
you're saying,
yeah.
this iridescent color, and you take that flag out and you walk across the street, and everybody stops when you see that. So I think it's a great idea, and it's a low-cost idea.
And you know, there's another thing, when we did the bicycle, presentation for the J1 students at St. Anne, and I did that, those kids are given backpacks that have
Yes.
fluorescent. It's getting them to use them. It's just like
Yeah.
the lights and the helmets. It's, you only have one brain.
Right, so
You
we,
can fix your own leg, but you have one brain.
so ABC gave out these beautiful black backpacks with a strip, a iridescent strip, and I saw some J1s using those, but we also gave out backpacks that were yellow. I never saw anybody use it. Yeah.
Yeah, at least on the shirt, if it's the employee shirt, they
Right.
have to wear it.
So, thank you, Ann. Kathy, please. While Kathy's going up, the other thing we had, I think, talked about, and I just want to get it on our, make sure it's on our, is, it really ties into Wave 3.0. Creating these short snippets, these 30 seconds,
Yeah.
1 minute kind of videos that we can plug in and connect with people, either through the website or the app, right? And if they choose to see that, and then that can be also disseminated to realtors and, but I think we need to build our library a little bit. We started that a couple years ago, and I don't know, we've added a lot, but I think we can be a little creative with how we do that. Are you all okay with putting that on the list?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, we should do that.
Okay. Kathy, I'm sorry.
That's okay, it just expands on the thought process taking place. I'm putting on my resident hat now. None of us like sign clutter, but it is a shared responsibility between the drivers and the pedestrians. I've seen some signs in some towns that say, "Thank you for slowing down." And they're big and they're bold as you enter a slow safety area, I'll call it. So that's one possible message to drivers, and then a similar message to the pedestrians could be, thank you for looking both ways, or thank you for, whatever we want to fill in the blank with that could be succinct on a sign at the crossings. So that's just a couple of other
Great.
ideas to throw into the mix.
Right. It's like, from a psychology perspective, positive reinforcement is the way to go, right? That's what really connects with people. That's where you really go from compliance to commitment. And so those are all great ways to try to do that. It can be face-to-face, it can be signage, it can be whatever, but it's all showing recognition for people doing the right thing, right, for them and others. Mike, please.
Feel like I'm piling on, so I apologize. Just a couple of things. Number one is, on behalf of ABC, we just want to thank the town for the parking pass that we got, because it was huge. The guys were thrilled to see that, and it just makes it much easier for us. Number one, and Chief, I think you and I talked about it, I just want to confirm, we will participate if invited in the bicycle safety checks, the stops. We do it with Ocean View, I think, as you know, and if it's something that will help enhance it in any way, we'll have volunteers that'll come down and set up and help the officers when they do that in July and August. We have developed over the years, and especially last year, helmet messages, right? They're little placards or posters. Dave Sykes on our team, his background is in graphic design and marketing, and we put it together to try to change the students' behavior last year with wearing a helmet, and they don't. But if you want those, we're happy to share them with you so you don't have to reinvent the wheel, and if you can repurpose them and use them somehow within the town of Bethany, you're welcome to them. And I can put you in touch with David, and he could share those. We also have little videos that we did also.
Yep.
That are, you're more than welcome to have them. We will participate in the student safety seminar like last year, if it's something you would like us to participate in, we're definitely, that's good for us, and it's a great way to support the town and the students. Lastly, it's my understanding that St. Martha's, that picnic is going to be at Mariners this year.
Okay.
So I didn't go to the meeting, but I had a team there, and they came back, and that was what I heard. We may want to just clarify and confirm that, but I wanted to make you aware. We will be there, obviously, if it is at Mariners, because it's on the campus, so. But again, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Yeah, and Mike, while you're up there, we're going to talk about this in a second, but the community outreach in March that we're going to have and sponsor again, you know, for our surrounding, we'd love to have you. You've been a really active participant in that. We'd love to have you again. So you and your team.
I'm happy to be there. If I'm back from Florida, I leave for Florida next week for 2 months, so.
Okay.
If I'm back, I will be there. If I'm not back, we'll
Someone.
definitely have
Yeah,
somebody
yeah,
there.
perfect.
Larry Short, who's my right hand,
Yeah.
he could be there, or even Dave Sykes.
Perfect.
But thank you.
Thank you for everything you and your team do, Mike. It's really awesome.
It's
Really.
our pleasure. We couldn't do it without the partnership that we have with the towns. Thank you.
Okay, so we have a pretty extensive list that we'll work on, and so part of our meeting in between now and February will be to try to flesh these out a little bit. So we'll capture these in our notes, and then Bob, there were a couple times as you were starting to go into the detail, I said, whoa, slow down a little bit. We will get there, okay? I just wanted to get the list up first that we can work from, okay? Okay, good. All right, let's move into the sort of the final part of the segment, which is planning for the March Learning Sharing event. This will be the third year we've hosted this. This is sort of, well, this is the purpose of the event. Those of you who've been here before, this is what we used, and I don't think we actually changed it from the previous one, but it's, what's the intent here, right? It's not to go through and criticize, to be negative, to find fault or blame. It's to listen and learn and share with each other as various members of the communities, right? So this isn't Bethany, this is all of us, right? To picture where you're going when you're biking and walking and driving in the area. And it's really to build on the networks and to really sort of prime the pump a little bit for the upcoming season, which all our communities are focusing on, right? And there's a lot of overlap and that we're working on, which is great. There's also some unique ideas that come up that we can all learn from and try to build on. And so that's really the intent of that. And then last year, again, we'll talk about this a little bit. We're probably going to change, our thought is change it, but I wanted to really show the breadth of the activity. We had Henlopen Acres, Lewis, ABC, Millville, the North Bethany Coalition, Ocean View, Rehoboth, South Bethany, and Bethany all participated, which I think was great.
Yeah.
And we would certainly like to we'll encourage all those folks, plus I think there's a couple else on the list that didn't come for one
Dewey and
reason.
Fenwick.
We'll reach out to them. But it'll really be a great, we really want this to be a really learning event for all of us, where we can prime the pump, energize our thinking a little bit, and build the networks that we have. Because I think a couple of us, I know Dan and I think it was Mark, Carl, you were reaching out with other communities to work on the idea trails, right? Yeah. Which go through, right? And again, common theme. Another one was around, I know a common theme was e-bike safety, scooter safety. Everybody was struggling with that, right? So the format will be the same. We'll have a limit on, we'll have a representative from each of the communities, maybe a 5-minute limit. They can share what they would like. They can, if it's a PowerPoint, if it's just a conversation. And we also have a special guest that we're working on having, right? Not completely confirmed, but we're working on that. So in lieu of that, what I'd like to do, propose to the team, right, is that rather than have a formal presentation by DelDOT and DENREC, that we take that block out and have that space for our special guest.
That makes sense.
All right? And again, more to come with that as we get a little bit closer. I don't want to get the cart in front of the horse too much, but Teresa and I have already done some outreach on that, and I think we're moving along to that. And you all know who we're talking about. So as we get a little bit closer, we'll be able to, but it might actually mean we've done some preliminary work. If that guest comes, we're probably gonna need a little bit more space than this. We've also, Raylene and others have done a little bit of work to look at other venues in town that would allow us to expand and give the focus on it. Does that sound okay for everyone?
Yeah, it sounds good.
Could I just ask a couple clarifying questions, if I may? Again, I think
And Art, I'm sorry. You had a couple questions here that I.
That's okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah, and I'm sorry for throwing those out, but I figured
No.
I'd give you a couple days' notice on them. But,
Yeah.
so is this, again, something that we should encourage the people in our homeowners associations and communities to attend so that they can learn and potentially participate?
Well, we do advertise publicly, so I don't
Okay.
know that we need to do more than that. You can certainly invite yours.
Okay.
But I think we announce the meetings, we put the agendas out a week ahead of time.
Okay.
I don't know that we need to do more than that, unless you
Okay.
disagree, Mickey.
No, it's a public meeting.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Right. But I guess the counter to that is that because we have 9 to 10 communities that we
Right.
all want to hear from, we can't have that coming from 5 different voices in each community. You know what I mean?
No, I
So we
understand
just-
that. There'd be
So
speakers.
anybody can come.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So if that was the case then, would there still be representatives from Del Dot and DenRec in the room, but they just wouldn't be making a presentation? Okay, so there wouldn't be, okay,
No.
just curious. All right, so then, in terms of the agenda, would there be again, a public Q&A session where they could just ask general comments, or would that not be part of this particular program?
We haven't done that in the past. What do you think?
Well, I think where that comes into play a little bit when we've done that, we haven't built it in, but there have been people have raised things that have been there. There have been really good things. So we're not going to shut anything down. We're just trying to
No,
manage
I'm
the
just
flow.
ballparking it here, that's
Yeah.
all.
But Art, where we do sort of the summary and key learnings, where we try to coalesce all of the things we've heard, and what are the things that our communities would like to sort of band together with and sort of create a little bit more focus with, or maybe have an outreach to Del Dot or DenRec or something. So that would certainly be built in at the end.
Okay, no, that's fine. Like I said, I think that something like this where we have people from the community
Yeah.
that are interested
Yep.
and may have, good comments, suggestions, questions, I think it's always nice to have that option there.
Yes.
So if that was part of whatever came up, whether it was, specifically on there or just planned, I think that would be great, just to give people an
But
opportunity.
they honestly can do that at any meeting.
Right,
I mean, if we want to have something, I think everyone should be aware they can come to any meeting and make a comment.
okay.
They don't have to, it doesn't have to be March, it could be February, it could be April. We have 9 of these a year.
Yeah.
They can
No,
come
I
anytime.
think that's great. And that kind of dovetails with another question I had that sent out was, again, when I did the trolley rides and other events last year, a number of people ask, if I have ideas or questions, where do I send them? And in turn, I guess the question would be, if we do have a vehicle to receive things, then in turn, what type of response? In other words, is there somebody on this group that responds? Is there somebody from the town that creates the response? I'm not quite sure,
It
but,
depends on the question.
okay,
It's admin@townofbethanybeach.com.
okay,
They can send an email there. And then if Raylene thinks that it's something that we need to respond to as a committee, she'll send it to Mickey and I. If she thinks the council needs to respond, she'll send it to the council. If it's something the town can do, the town will respond on our behalf.
perfect.
So Art, to build on that, I think that's spot on. But maybe we can just let people know
Yeah.
that venue's there. Rather
Right,
than
that's what
creating
I was
something
getting
specific
to.
and
Yeah.
different, let's let them know that we have a process now.
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, everything that goes there, basically the council sees in effect. But if it needs to come to us as a team or individually, just to reiterate that that's a vehicle that people have for that.
Great, yeah, I just thought that was worth raising,
No,
because again,
it's
like I said, it
perfect.
came up several times, and again, anytime I've reached out to anybody in the town, I've always
Yeah.
gotten great responses.
Yeah.
I've gotten a thorough response, and it's been very timely, so thank you very much. I think the town's really well-run.
Yep.
I just thought I'd throw that out
No,
there.
it's helpful. It's a good reminder that it can be advertised.
Great. And since we're rolling on my questions, if you don't mind.
I apologize, I had it laid out here covered, I forgot it.
I'm sorry if I'm, taking over here, but the newsletter, I think, is wonderful. What, in general, is the cadence that's listed for that now? In other words, I think we did one in the fall, and there was a holiday one, and both of them were outstanding. Great job. Are they planned to be basically bi-monthly, quarterly? What's the general approach to that?
I started in September with the idea that it would be a fall, winter, spring, and summer edition.
Okay.
The opportunity was there because there was a lot of good content for a holiday edition, so we did that. Aiming for another one in late February or early March for the winter edition. And then we'll do spring and summer. That's the game plan, and we'll see how it evolves if we add any, but seasonal.
Thank you. No, that's very helpful, because again, that would also tie into what we're trying to potentially do in terms of like a little article or some type of blurb about safety.
Yeah.
So that would be very helpful, and another great vehicle for us. Then the only other question I had on my list, if you don't mind, while we're going through this, was we talked about, trying to get, more safety along the major routes here.
Yeah.
And Kent Avenue, I noticed, a lot of people run, walk, bike along there, and it seems like each year it's getting more and more people along there. And I noticed right now that there's nice biking indicators listed along the shoulders. In other words, you have the nice little print in the sidewalk of the figure of which direction you're supposed to bike. Is there any plan to potentially put like walkers on there to, again, make sure people are walking in the proper direction if we are trying to encourage people to walk into the traffic as opposed to with it? Because I know those shoulders are fairly narrow.
Yeah.
And when you get people walking both directions as opposed to bikers, it becomes rather congested. And in turn, people wind up in Kent Avenue, and then it gets dicey in terms of drivers. So again, I'm just throwing this out as a thought.
Nope. So there's a lot there. So Kent Avenue is a state road,
Okay.
so we have no control over those markings. So as far as I know, there are no plans to change any of them.
Okay. But
Do you have any other information?
No, but to build on that,
Yeah.
that's exactly the case,
Right.
but does it say we can't reach out to
And ask.
DelDOT and ask? I mean, that's
Sure.
one of the things we've really, I think, created a good working relationship with DelDOT.
Yeah.
Chief has led that, others have led it, that we can put that on the list to say, hey, so I think it's a
well,
great idea.
if it has value, I just throw it out as an idea. I
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
know if
yeah.
it does, if people, other
Yeah.
people think that resonates, but I just, as somebody that drives down Kent Avenue quite a bit, especially during the warmer months, I noticed that a lot of people going the wrong direction on there, whether they're bikers, walkers, whatever. And again, when you get a lot of people on a narrow stretch, it becomes a challenge. And if we're trying to encourage people to, again, walk the proper direction and bike the proper direction, since that's a major artery,
Yeah.
I think not only would it help the people directly on there, but it will also kind of reinforce the message about which way you need to travel. So it's just a thought.
Just to piggyback on that, you get a lot of the landscaping people park on those shoulders during the season. So there's a lot of that going on. But I just got a comment for the agenda. If DelDOT and the other Delaware
This
organizations.
was just a copy of last
Yeah.
year's.
Yeah,
This
no,
isn't
but
our-
where the comment was, we're not going to include them in this session. Maybe we can have a separate session with them, maybe at the April or May meeting, to bring up things like that. Bill's list, there was a lot of DelDOT type of things that if we can voice to them, hey, these are suggestions or improvements, but maybe have a separate meeting to include those organizations, not necessarily with this agenda.
Okay. Okay, got it, Bob. Thank you. Yeah, I think they're, give us a little bit of time as we're trying to just nail down our guest, because a lot of this is trying to help make sure that he has time to present and hear, and given the schedule, we can't have it over, we got to be pretty tight on our timing. That's the only thing we're trying to be a little bit more pulling it back.
No. You're absolutely right. I'm just saying, let's not lose the opportunity, because there were some meaningful discussions that those state representatives had.
Right.
And
You
we
know-
can do it separately.
Right,
Yeah.
you know, and something came to mind a little bit as you were thinking about that. We could do that and have Del Dot here at our meeting, but that is really primarily Bethany. It's not really the and the
Yeah.
communities really benefit from both of those, right? And that's like the DenRec thing with the trails.
Yeah.
Carl, that you and Dan ran with. So I think it might make sense, or let's consider it, we can, we'll
Yeah.
explore. Maybe having Del Dot and/or DenRec here.
Right.
But not necessarily to present, but
Just to listen.
say we have a larger,
Yeah.
but say we have a larger venue for this, they could almost like have a table set up,
Sure.
like before or after, you know, almost, and that way the communities
Right.
can take advantage of it that are
Right.
here.
That's a good idea.
And we just don't use the time,
Sure.
because we have 30 minutes, we're just out of
Yeah.
time, that's my.
Right. The other thing we learned last year is, we had a great presentation by Del Dot, and he took an hour. And our meeting went 3 hours, and we lost a bunch of people at the end who didn't hear from DenRec. So the other thing that we talked about was in the future, only having one speaker. And maybe it goes to what you said, we just spread them out,
Yeah.
you know?
That was my only
Yeah,
suggestion.
it's
Let's
a good
not lose
suggestion.
that opportunity.
No, it's a good
I
suggestion.
think that's a great idea. I think, again, DenRec and Del Dot's presence last year, whether
Yeah.
they make a presentation or not, I think having them here as a presence, I think, is important, because not only can we take advantage of picking their brains and, you know, talking with them about various things or giving them suggestions, but all the other communities would have that same opportunity. So I think it'd be a win-win situation for not only us, but for
Right.
them, for the agencies as well as the other communities. So
Right.
just a thought.
And again, given what's going on up a little north of us with the additional crossovers
Yeah.
they're building, that's a huge project for them. For us, but
Yeah.
that they're working on. So I'm sure they would like to be able to, that's a nice time to sort of update everybody on that, so.
Bill?
Good, so we'll, Bill, I'm gonna get you to, I just wanna, actually, going up, Bill, go ahead. So we'll add that and see how we can make that
Yeah.
work, Art.
Just
So
a
Art
thought.
and Bob, thank you for lifting that up.
Yeah, just
Hey, Bill.
personally, it would be a big mistake not to have Del Dot and DenRec here when your guest is here. Just
Okay.
politically.
Okay,
You're going to build some bridges there between the local Del Dot and DenRec people and your guest.
okay.
Yeah, yes, exactly, we agree, yeah. It was more,
It's more of a
Bill, what we're
scheduling
talking about,
issue.
scheduling and presentation is a much of, but I think we can make it all work, we can make it all work.
Having them in the room is
And actually, with the speaker, I'm sure that would be a good connection point. We're just managing time a little bit,
Yeah.
but point well taken, and we got it. Okay. So the next thing we'll work on for this, is we'll draft what I'd like to do, again, given that we're gonna have this going to, with our special guest, I want him to be able to see the invitation we send out to our
Yeah.
community members, so it's all uniform. Right? We're all in the same, so if you don't mind, Teresa and I will draft, I think we broke that up
We did.
if you don't mind, it's just 9
Yeah.
notes, if you will, that we're gonna reach out, they'll all be the same. With a little bit of, we'll personalize it, obviously. That way, our guest knows that,
Who's coming?
who's coming, and we're trying to sort of grease the skids both ways, if you will, if you know what I mean. So, if you don't mind, we'll take the ball with that, and we'll reach those those groups, plus Dewey and.
Yeah, I've got the
Fenway.
list.
You got it, yep.
I've got the list.
And, yeah, yeah, I know those.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else for the planning session, or for the learning event?
I don't think so.
All right. So the public comments, I think we've already had those as we've gone through.
Yeah.
Special thanks, Rich, for being here, member of council.
Neighbor.
And does anyone else have any other comments that's here?
Just one more comment.
Sure.
And I didn't want to lose it from our discussions back in September and October. We kind of mentioned this. kind of like a near-miss program. You know, if there's some way that the community can capture those things that are seen.
Yep.
I know I report to the police, like I had a near miss during motorcycle weekend, lights flashing, cars are stopped, I'm walking across the street, motorcyclists, 20 of them come flying by. So if we can capture that thought, and we can get into the weeds in another meeting. And another one was an Eye on Safety program that kind of talks about everything that we've been saying. You know, if we see something, say something. I know my wife calls me a boomer, but, you know, on Central and 1, I seen a young couple with a baby stroller hit the light and walked into the intersection as cars were going by. And I said something. I said, you know, you can't, just because you hit the light, doesn't mean you can walk into the intersection. It's up to you to make sure it's safe, and especially with a baby that you're pushing. But anyway, I just wanted to mention that. It's something we can talk about at some other of our workshops.
Okay.
Now, I think both of those, I think the near miss reporting is actually on one of our lists already. So it's a little harder to do, but.
Yeah, we have to figure out who collects that.
But yeah, but from somebody who spent 20 years, near miss reporting is the most valuable tool we have, because you really get what's happening, not just the incidents that are reportable, that's a broken leg, but that near miss close call. They're more often, they happen more often, and they are truly indicative of
It kind of gives you an indication where the problematic areas, what they are and where they are.
Yeah. And the, if you see something, say something, sort of in the security perspective, but on the safety side. That's actually, I like that, Bob, a lot, because that's actually, in a lot of ways, what we're encouraging, right? This isn't about us being the sole, we want to encourage people, if they see somebody out there, right, that's walking across the street while they're focusing on their phone, right? That's an opportunity, right, to engage that person in a positive way. And it's harder, I mean, because you get into all kinds of barriers with that, but typically those are going to be received positively, and people will take it, and you never know, you might prevent something a year from now, a day from now, 10 years, a serious incident from happening that actually does create pain and
it's
suffering.
our responsibility, and it's really the community's responsibility.
Yeah, no, but I mean, say, building on that, that's what we want, right?
And it kind of makes us, our intent is eventually to be a model beach town on safety. And those are the type of things that maybe that group of people, what are they doing?
So I just want to share with you, these are our dates that we have set up for the rest of the year. More to it, we'll work on the agenda as we get closer, but the big ones are the, and you have this, Bob. Okay, so do we have a meeting or a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Art, thank you. Second? Thank you, everyone, for your efforts. I guess we'll vote formally.
No, we don't, yes, all in favor.
All in favor? And thank you for everyone, thank you for the community that was here. Appreciate it.